You're listening to 15 Minutes, where we feature community leaders sharing what the rest of us should know but likely don't.
Hello, everyone. Michael Renfro here. I'm the host of 15 Minutes, Share Your Voice, where we talk with top-notch lawyers and law firms about what it takes to grow a successful law practice. This episode, as always, is brought to you by Gladiator Law Marketing, where we deliver tailor-made services to help you accomplish your objectives and maximize your growth potential. One of the ways to do that and have a successful marketing campaign is to make sure that you're getting the best ROI. In order to do that, your firm does need to have, simply put, the better website and the best content. At Gladiator Law Marketing, we use artificial intelligence along with machine learning and decades of experience. In fact, we've actually reached about 125 total years of experience within the company. And there's only about 15 of us, so we are boutique, which means you get a lot more personal attention over here. To learn more, please go to gladiatorlawmarketing.com. That's gladiatorlawmarketing.com. And you can get a free consultation. And with that, let's go ahead and meet our guest today. Today we have Antonia Hays. Am I saying that right? The last name Hays, right? Cool.
You are Hays, yes.
Antonia, why don't you start off by just telling us, what your practice areas are, just a little bit about you and where in the world you are.
Sure. My name again is Antonia Hays. My husband and I are co-owners of a trust and estate administration and litigation firm. We do some business law, liquor licensing, and some estate planning as well, and probate.
And probate, gotcha.
And probate, yep.
But I was looking at your list of practice areas. They're quite related. It's not like somewhere I've seen one person is doing criminal defense and another person is doing business.
No, it's not jack of all trades by any means. It's all very niche. We also, what's really great about what we do is that because we do the estate planning and the litigation, both in the same firm, which is hard to find in a small firm, it really gives us a good sort of vision about what, how to create plans and what to expect later on down the road with litigation if litigation
actually, yeah, exactly. I always tell people, if you're talking to an attorney, of course I market them, and I've been talking to attorneys since I was young because I got in trouble. But the reality is, I tell people, if you're talking to an attorney, make sure that they are an actual litigator, because if this ever goes to court, if you just have someone that knows how to do all the work but not beat someone in court, then you really have half the team.
So I like to tell people that, right?
I truly believe, and I'm sure you say the same thing. Look, we don't want it to go to court. We're going to try to do everything we can to avoid court. But if you go to court, you want to have someone that has got the experience to know, how to talk to the judge, how to talk to the jurors, how to talk to the other side, quite frankly, because all of those things come into play.
Yes, that's it. That's what we do.
How did you guys get started? Oh no, I got it. How did y'all get started?
Yeah. Oh, and I didn't tell you where I was. I'm in Chicago.
Chicago. The Windy City. Are you in downtown? Are you actually in?
Yes. No, we have our office is downtown. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. So how did you get started?
Well, about 13 years ago, my husband, I was working for a mid-sized firm at the time. I think we were on our second baby. And my husband was leaving. He left a job with a small firm, really determined that working for somebody was not
advantageous,
not conducive to his desire for a certain type of lifestyle and personality. So we really started, my husband started without a client. We did not have a client. We did the old school, put out the shingle and, began doing estate planning actually and some probate at the outset. And that was it. Yeah. 13 years ago in the beginning before, so what was that? 2000, right before the crash, the
bubble,
so.
The 2008 bubble, right?
Yeah.
I'm assuming you're referring to the,
That's what I'm referring to. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, the bubble. So that's how we started. And then I sort of slowly but surely left my mid-sized firm and we hooked up together and we've been working together ever since at our law firm.
That's nice.
Yeah.
So for you specifically, where did the idea of becoming an attorney? Where'd you get that?
Oh,
What
okay.
got you
Well,
hooked?
that's interesting. I'll just be totally frank. I am first generation Croatian American. My parents are immigrants to this country.
Awesome.
Came in 1974 from Croatia. Dad came to play professional soccer, and it was not, it didn't really work out his professional soccer career. At that time, professional soccer players weren't really making any money. So
No, they weren't nearly as loved as they are today. FIFA was
not even
not the
close.
biggest of the, I mean, now FIFA is about to be here in Denver, and I tell people like, this is bigger than the Olympics, man.
Huge.
Y'all don't know. It's like they changed the whole
Huge.
state to
Yes.
get this. So go ahead.
Yes. So in
Wasn't
any
that
event,
when he came over?
yeah, no, it wasn't like that at all. So anyway, it was kind of this thing. I grew up in that household where, we're here to give you a better life and education, and you're either going to be a lawyer or a doctor. It was just kind of that, oh, you can argue. That's what it always was. Oh, I'd get in trouble and I'd talk myself out of something. And my parents were always like,
lawyer.
oh, you'll be a great lawyer. Yeah, exactly. You're a lawyer. So,
and you're a litigator. That's where the litigation comes from, is the arguing, right?
That's right. That was always the, the tenor, so to speak, of my upbringing. So it really did have an effect. And because I saw my parents work, really hard jobs and blue collar people, and work ethic was huge. And I decided to hit the law.
That's pretty cool. I would go into some other questions, but I'm going to try to stay focused, or else we'll be here forever. Right. What would you say? And I kind of wrap up, if you're looking at the questions over there, 4 and 5, and 6 and 7, I kind of wrap up into one, and you'll hear what I mean by that. And I kind of told you this earlier. What do you think was your biggest challenge, pitfall, whatever you want to call it, that also became your biggest turning point and gave you the most traction with your firm, the firm you and your husband have?
Well, I really think it was, and I think that's a hard question, because it's hard to sort of capture one thing. People are always looking for the one thing.
Right.
And I don't.
Then name a few, feel free. By the way, feel free, if you want to name just tell us what you think was maybe the experiences, the group of things that led you to the success that you and your husband have.
Well, I really think it's compromise. I really think it's just, he and I are working together, and we have 4 children together. So our life is constant communication, constant about what's going on at home, what's going on at the office. I would say that what some might view as a pitfall, being totally, might look like they're wearing 100 different places at once, has really given us, I think this has helped us to strategize so efficiently, and to really have big picture in our minds at all times. Like, you can't get bogged down with the little stuff. So being really, having a lot of energy in the home and at the office, and constantly being in touch, is really what some might be like, oh my gosh, you work with your husband? That's crazy. How do you even do that? How do you even, but for us, that, what people might perceive as being just awful has really given us such great perspective, and
seems like it's given y'all a nice comfort too, in the sense of you know how to build off of one another and take from one another. I mean, that's what a great partnership is about, not just in business either, mind you. You got to have that, I think, with your lover as well.
Yes. So that is really, I think that, maybe that's more of a perception of what is a pitfall, but for us, it's really given us a lot of traction moving forward. And we're just on this trajectory now of, moving forward, and we're always moving forward, whether we think we are or not. Right. So, but just that sort of momentum, we're in a really great momentum right now.
As I tell people, even when you're taking 3 steps backwards, that is part of the forward movement. It's just part of it. No
doubt.
Sometimes it's taking those 3 steps back and looking at your mistake, or challenge, pitfall, hurdle. I use all these different words because, to me, like I told you even before the show, I find them as the catalyst for the better day. So now when they happen, I look forward to them, and I tend to step back myself. And you might be like this, but I step back and I try to look at them even more and I want to let them go, but I want to analyze them very quickly and see, what can I get out of that? What can I take out of that? And then leave the rest behind. and quickly move on,
Move on. You have to keep moving on. That's the thing.
Yes.
I think that's true.
Letting go
That's
too,
very
which
true. Letting go, which we briefly touched on, right?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of that. It's not sweating everything. You can't.
Yep.
You
Don't
can't
sweat the small stuff.
You
I think
can't
I have
sweat the
that
small
tattooed
stuff.
everywhere.
Right? Yeah, you can't. You cannot sweat the small stuff. You got to just keep moving. Even when, you're addressing a problem, whether it be in the firm, whether it be managerial stuff, whether it be whatever it is, you address it as quickly and efficiently as possible. And you have to let it go. You have to just move on. Right. So that's why it's kind of hard to think of the one. I've got pitfalls and mistakes all over the place, but
you sound like me.
I can't focus on those. I can't focus on that. What kind of life is that? That's not a life,
No, and some people have it. I will say that some folks, they're that single, and I mean, I'll just give you, for instance, ours really, and there's been so many more. I mean, so many more like you. I cannot begin to name all of them. But what I can tell you is when my wife was hit by a car as a pedestrian, that was one that I know this sounds funny, but within 48 hours, all I can tell you is I knew everything was going to be okay. I knew it was supposed to happen. And I knew that the outcome of it was going to put us in a much better position than we were now. And it's unfortunate that she had to go through that, but it's just the way that it all lined up. And I'll tell you this, most people that get hit, she was crossing the street down in Florida and the car hit her at 40, 45 miles an hour.
Oh my good God. When was this?
This was 2016. And she has not a broken back, not a broken neck, not a broken femur, nothing broken. She got a broken fibula, which if you know what that is, that's the tiny bone on the back of the calf.
I do.
Takes all of about 5-6% of your body weight anyway, right? So she was literally walking around 3 days later, and she was thrown like a football 25 yards. But she jumped up she saw the car and it was in a turn. So you have to put all these factors together, right? It was not straight momentum, it was turn momentum. So a lot of the force was being thrown off to the side, right? She literally leapt up and was probably about a half a foot in the ground when the car actually hit her. And then it threw her like a tennis racket. It hit her and threw her, and she hit the ground. And amazingly, I mean, I can't not tell you, like everybody would be 85% of folks at that speed are automatically dead, like just dead.
I mean,
dead, period. Upon impact, dead, right?
Upon
and then of the 15% that do survive, Antonio, you're talking about almost always broken femurs, broken back, broken neck, broken hip, something that changes you physically for the rest of your life. Now, she did take some mental, and she has some short-term issues because it was her head.
Oh my gosh.
Her head hit the windshield and then flew.
Oh my gosh. And then she flew.
Yeah, and it was her head hit the asphalt.
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable. It really is. But my point is,
were you near her at this time? Were you near her? Was she by herself?
No, but I felt it. I will tell you, everybody in my family knows it because I looked up at my mom from the dinner table. I'm like, Jackie, something's wrong. And I immediately rushed out the door, and I passed the intersection as she was being put in the ambulance, but I didn't want to think that was her because she was supposed to be over at the school across diagonally, which is where I was going to pick her up. So I ended up being about 5 minutes behind the ambulance, but I knew I ended up talking to the officer who was on the scene, young female, that was the one that put my wife in, what do you call it? The ambulance and all that. So I was right there. Wow. I mean, all I can tell you is I truly believe in a lot more than just what we see. And I felt it. I knew the moment that my wife had been hurt, that our life had changed, and I needed to go be with her. So.
Wow.
But those, again, that horrible moment, which it was, I mean, tears and crying. I mean, there's all that loss, possible loss of life, changing of the life forever, loss of money and income because she couldn't work. I mean, all that. We went through all that, and it is incredible. I bless it. I know it's a blessing because it gave us everything we have. And that's what I keep trying to tell people. Like, if you accept these bad things, you'll find that, we call them bad, but if you don't have them, Antonia, how can you have a glorious day? How would you even know what a glorious day is?
That is correct. You can't have one without, you can't have.
It would be a mundane experience. We would just be like, everything is wonderful and great.
No, that's not how it goes. No,
what makes it wonderful? Yeah, exactly. What makes it wonderful and great is that you had, excuse my French, a shit day the day before. So now you can have a glorious day today and be with the family, or whatever the case may be.
That's exactly right. Yeah, you can't have one without the other. There's the definite. you can't know light without knowing dark.
Exactly. You can't even enjoy it. Like
No, enjoy it, right.
That's what's so funny, and that's why I talk about them. So I'm about to ask you just purely of a beautiful one, but that's why I talk about the challenges, because they really aren't challenges so much as what I call them now, transformational moments. They're moments to learn and change in a better way, period.
Yes.
And what was since just kind of get into it, what was your biggest or proudest moment? What I mean by that is biggest success, for the career highlight. I'm guessing it might be opening the firm, but I wanted to ask anyway, because there might be something else. So.
It's definitely, it really is opening the firm.
Fair enough.
Oh yeah, I really have to say that. I wish I don't, it really.
No, I get it. You're in love with it, and that's awesome.
Yeah,
and right now, there's nothing better than that.
Not only are we in love with it, but I think it's really transformed every other part of our lives. And without the firm, is all one beast, so to speak, right? People talk about that, like, oh, the firm, and then you have the family, and then you have this life. I really see it all as interrelated, right? So,
I think if you're doing it properly, in my personal opinion, because usually, and what I mean by, I shouldn't say properly, I think if you're doing it the way that gives you the most opportunity for happiness, it is, because you're usually doing something that you enjoy. And if you want to keep enjoying it, it kind of has to be part of your life, period. So everybody knows I'm a salesman,
Everything has to integrate. I will tell you though, something pretty cool. We, which is, I think, a huge accomplishment before even Zoom was a thing. We had our fourth child, Paul, and Paul was about 10 months old. And my husband, we were just talking, and we were living far away from the city. And he would be getting on the train every day.
Right.
He would be looking at everybody and being like, oh, this can't be it.
Grueling.
Like, this cannot be this grueling, getting on the train, working all day, it just can't be like this. And we decided to sell our house, give away all our possessions. And we picked up the family and we moved to Costa Rica.
Get that.
And
That's awesome. Is that where you are now?
No, I'm in Chicago, but we were in Costa. I
meant living there. I knew you were in Chicago now, but I didn't know if you maybe still had a home.
There. We're not living. No, we're not living there right now. But I'll tell you, I could have. At that time, I could have been in Chicago, but nonetheless, we So we did this, and we moved to a rural town on the Pacific coast, and we lived there for a few years, and we conducted our business down there.
100%.
100%. Yes, 100% remote before it was even a thing.
I'm working for a company. I told you I'm almost 4 years, but part of the reason I came here is they've been around 10 years, January, 100% remote, well before pandemic and Zoom technology and all this stuff that we know now, because we were like, this is more efficient. You make more money. I have more time for the clients that I do want to talk to. So it really is true. If you're not spending the time on the road, people have no idea how much that road factor is when you're a salesperson. And attorneys are nothing more than professional salespeople. No offense to you, but
no. I don't take offense. No, we are. Yeah. That's the business. Yeah.
Right.
So,
and you got the more time you can create to spend with your partners, clients, whatever you call them, then the more, how do I say, trust is built. Number one, the business grows better. And quite frankly, I do everything from right here. I stand here all day. And this is one of the, I will tell you what, man, get a standing desk is the way to go.
We have them all over the office.
I can't imagine having anything. I will never, I stand 85% of the time. Like, it's funny because my boss, he puts his down and he'll still sit. I'm like, dude, I can't sit anymore. I don't know if this is like you or if you've ever felt this, but I feel like if I'm sitting down to a project that involves the computer or whatever, if I'm sitting down, I will not be as productive as if I'm standing up anymore. Like, I honestly can't concentrate the same. I'm just going.
You're just going, you're moving, your blood's going. You're thinking better. Yeah, I agree with that.
I love these stupid little things that, have you seen these little things? I love these stupid little things, right?
Yes.
I don't do it on the podcast because then I'll be like, so I think that this would be a really good time, but I still, but it is, I can't imagine going any other way. So that's kind of a good time to ask this one. What's some of your daily rituals that you find most important, within a typical day, if you will, like, give me something, or maybe 2 or 3 things that you feel like are musts that you have to do for your
I have to have that one hot cup of coffee immediately upon waking. It's it's imperative. I can't do without it.
What do you use to make your coffee? We're going to stop right here and have a coffee break. What do you use?
Well, I mean, I have to do the auto drip. It's just easy, efficient, but I personally prefer French press.
I'm going to turn you on to something, because I was a French press guy too. But you know what I didn't like about French press always is all the grit and oil and crap that comes with it, right?
Right.
Look this up. It's called AeroPress.
AeroPress.
AEOR. If I'm getting it right, hold on. I'm just gonna.
AEOR.
I'm pretty sure it's just like the word arrow, but press. Okay. And I believe I spelled it right. Yep. So I'm just going to give you a kind of a preview. You'll be able to see it a little bit. But essentially what this does is it has a filter at the bottom.
Okay.
And you press down through, and there is no way. This is the best cup of coffee now I've ever had. It beats French press by leaps and bounds, because it is clean. It's clean. And they're only they're $40, but it's a single press. You know, it's not
at Amazon.
Yeah, it's Amazon.
All right.
Here, I will I will share it with you after the show.
Great.
And you can get I have two now, and I'm probably going to get two more, because everybody I keep turning one on to, they're like,
sounds like you're telling everybody about this.
Oh man, I was a French press guy, and I was a K-cup guy. Yeah, well, I'm a K-cup guy for just that quick, you know, like, give me a cup of coffee right now. I'll K-cup it out every time. I'm not going to lie. But when I'm, you know, I have a coffee station down there with a tea kettle and everything. And if I'm making, which is now probably 95% of the time because of that, it is also quicker and easier to clean up than a French press. Yeah. So like your cleanup is lickety split. The only thing you have to do is, you know, but the first time you buy one, it comes with 360 of these filters. So that's 360 cups of coffee.
Okay,
before you buy more filters. Yeah. And the filters are like $5 for 360.
Sweet.
It's not. I will say this. I am a little upset because when I got them, they were $27, but with the pandemic and inflation, they have jumped their price up to $39.95. But it's still worth it. Yeah. I mean, it's still worth it when you get that cup of coffee. Get one,
especially when the coffee. Yeah.
Yep. Get one, try it, and if your husband is a coffee dude too, I'm telling you guys are going to be hooked. You'll be like, oh, we got to have this.
We're both huge coffee people.
You'll love it. You'll love it.
I'm going to do it. I'm going to totally do it.
So other than the coffee.
Yeah, the coffee, I do meditate. I do meditate or pray.
Nice.
It's just, I have to.
Those are part of mine as well.
Yeah.
I don't always necessarily do those at the same time.
Correct.
And I even, like the other day, I even told God, I was like, dude, I know I haven't been talking to you, but I read your signs, and then I am mentally coming back to you and changing my behavior when you give me a sign. So God knows. That's all. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, that's enough, and that's all there is to it, right? Yeah.
Right.
So that's a big piece. And then what else? What would be?
What's maybe a strange one or a quirk or something that somebody doesn't already know about you?
Oh, that I do in the morning.
It doesn't have to be something you do in the morning. Just maybe just something that you do that most folks in your work life probably don't know about you.
That I get on my knees. I actually get on my knees and just sort of bow down to the earth. Yep. I do. Yeah. Yeah,
I do too. I started that back in 2007. Funny enough.
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah. It's just, it was more about.
That's weird that you're saying that, because I feel like that's not something, I don't share that a lot, and I don't know a lot of people who do it. So maybe it's just a matter of sharing.
It's a humbling thing that I, for me, it was about two things. One, being closer, even if I'm on the second or 15th story of a building, it's being closer to the ground I walk on, right? Number one. And then the other thing, and I prefer doing it in the actual dirt and ground, but if I can't, then the whole fact is that I'm humbling myself before the power of this world. Like, if I think I'm more powerful than this world, then somebody needs to slap me.
Slap me upside the head, right? Yeah. I think that's a big deal too, is just sort of, and it's hard for attorneys. I think the ego is so
powerful. Big. Are you talking about powerful, controlling, everything I was told I should have been an attorney from 5 years old. Okay. So you're talking to what literally I still have this little thing, like, go learn it. Just go do it. You're only 50. You could be an attorney for 10 years.
You could.
I know, but I love my sales stuff. So, I mean, I'll say this, what I love more now is convincing an attorney, right, to do what I want them to do. So that's
You're like,
if that sounds good at all, for 10 years I was on the other side of the law, so I had to bow down to attorneys, right? So now I'm like, hey,
you're like,
I know
wait a
more
minute.
than you about this. You know legalese, but I know marketing, my friend. So
And we need that. Yeah.
oh, every attorney needs marketing in some way. Every attorney needs marketing. I said marketing. That's so funny. Marketing in some way. But I will tell you this, there are no two practice areas, no two firms, and no two geographical locations that are alike. So every single firm is done different. Even if it's the same firm opening up in a new town, you market that location slightly different than the one that's in Chicago.
Absolutely. Who's your audience?
It's there's so many nuances and idiosyncrasies truly to marketing law over anything else. It's why law is the only one that has its literal own industry of law firm marketing agencies that only market lawyers. You don't even have that for doctors. A lot of these ones that do lawyers are now doing doctors because they're like, it's similar, but even doctors don't have the same, because when you're hurt, you're hurt. It's different than when you're in trouble, right? Or when you need legal help, which is there's only two times you call a lawyer: in trouble, legal help. That's it, right? And it always affects your money. So
always. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, that's something that's interesting, because I think as we're growing, we're really, paying attention to, now at this juncture, our branding and our marketing.
Branding becomes important.
Branding's really important. And who are we?
Image.
We're just, I think, just very recently starting, asking these sort of germane questions about who we are, and doing things like this, like having this conversation with you. It really helps us to sort of know who we are, because you don't know who you are until someone asks you about it. And
then you're
attorneys are listeners. Yeah, exactly. And it's hard for me. I was just, I had this conversation with my husband. I was like, I'm the one that asks questions. I'm the one. I like to be in your position. Like, I like to ask the questions. I like to learn. I mean,
you like to be the interviewer that is getting all the you did. Let me dig a little bit deeper there. So.
Right. Yeah.
I love that. The investigator, as I say. I have a pseudonym that I go by called the Flick Dick, right? The Flick Detective, movie detective, right? And I always tell people, like, I don't even watch movies anymore. I straight investigate them. I've watched them so long that it doesn't even matter if I love the movie. Actually, if I love it and it's the second time, it's even more hardcore, because I'm like, how did they get the camera there? How is that happening?
So you're like doing that analysis. Yeah, that's cool.
Yep. Yeah. But I say that because I think it's very similar to the way that attorneys have to handle almost every single situation. You have to look at all the different angles, which is,
yes, you do.
People don't realize half of what you do to become an attorney. Obviously, I know a lot about you guys, you folks, right? But half of what you do as attorneys is really just reading other cases and understanding how to use those at the right time when you go up against a current case. And I explain to people, it's just living off of other people's mistakes. That's really all it is.
Right. I mean, there is that. There's truth to that for sure.
It is. It's all legal and it's all documented, and it's not going to change. You can go back to a book that came out, a case that was decided in 1800s, 1900s. The case is still there, or it still has precedence for whatever reason. I mean, I think that kind of stuff is very cool, personally. I know those are way outdated, but
no, yeah, but I understand conceptually what you're saying. Absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, I've still seen 1800 cases be used because there's a point of it that doesn't change throughout time, right? And they're like, look, this has been the same since we opened up the country. So.
Yep. Usually elements of a case are like that. Like you can cite something from years ago.
Which I think is really, I just think, to have all that knowledge and be able to use it at the drop of a hat. I know that obviously we all, all lawyers have that before they go into court, particularly litigators, they have that time to get ready. But then you still got to have it. You got to access it when you're in front of the judge, when you're in front of the jurors. The right thing.
Access. It's not just accessing; it's accessing the actual, and sometimes
the correct information.
That's a revelation. Like you're standing there and you don't even realize that you're going to, cite something that it just happens, right? It just, oh wait, this.
Don't those moments feel awesome though? You're like, did I just say that?
Yeah. Yeah, they're
did I just do that, man?
Right.
You like in your head. I mean, I know you can't do it in the court, but in your head, you're like, that was a great job. I can't believe you just did that.
Yes, there is some of that too.
I'm telling you, I've had that on calls, so I know, where you're like, I can't believe I just went from A, B, C, D, E and brought
That's
that full
cool.
circle. I wasn't even
Yeah.
trying to do that, you know? But to me, that
That's
goes
the
back
letting
with
go.
FR, right? Everything happens
That's
for a
back to
reason.
the letting go. And that's back to the letting go and letting
Yes.
sort of let it move through you.
Let it
Right?
flow, let it
Let
go.
it flow.
Go, you know, it's going to go where it's supposed to go. And that's why I said, I don't know if you've heard it referred to as FR, but, or
I haven't.
AFAR,
It's what is it?
EHFAR. Everything happens for a
Just for a
reason.
reason. Yeah.
FR. So
Yeah.
it's a lot easier. That's a great acronym for those of us who really believe in that, because that's 5 words down to just a 2-syllable thing.
True. Yeah. Easy.
Exactly. So here's a couple, or here's, I'm going to kind of combine it to a couple, if you will.
Okay.
What was it like? Where did you grow up, and what was it like? And then let's talk about when you were growing up. So say before 16, right? Before you were actually a full-fledged woman out there. What was the craziest thing you ever done as a kid, where you grew up and where are you from?
Oh my God. What's the craziest thing I ever did as a kid? Oh my goodness gracious. Okay, well, I grew up outside of Chicago.
Oh, so you're still home then. That's cool.
Yeah, yeah. Um,
What town, if you don't mind me asking?
no, I don't mind asking. It's Palatine. It's a northwest suburb of Chicago.
Okay.
I'm trying to think, what was the craziest before 15?
I mean, if you want to go up to 18 in high school, that's fine. You know, that gets crazier. So that's usually a little lends itself to.
I mean, I'll just tell you, I remember, I mean, it's going to have to, there was a party. I think I was probably 15 or 16.
Perfect.
And there was a party in our hometown, and it was an abandoned house. I remember that.
Oh my gosh.
So
this already sounds good.
Yeah. So the whole thing was like, everybody's going to go to this abandoned house and we're going to party. And of course I didn't tell my parents this, whatever. So we end up going to the party. It's a total dance party. I mean, I'm sure there are kegs of beer, obviously. And the cops come and they bust the party, and they take us all in school buses and they arrest us. They arrest us all. There's like 200 of us. They come and pick us up in school buses.
Oh my God.
They arrest us all, and they take us to the station.
Right.
And every parent had to come and get their kid. And I mean, I just remember, maybe it wasn't so much the going to the party. It was really more the being shipped in a bus to the station. That was
yeah. Crazy. I mean, let me just say that I have been at multiple parties.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty normal behavior for a 15, 16-year-old at that time. But
what's not normal is that they arrested all of you. That is abnormal. I have been, I mean, I cannot tell you. I'm literally thinking of, right off the top of my head, all within the same sophomore year, by the way. So I'm not even going outside of one school year of 3 parties that got busted by cops, right? Yeah. One of them, this dude we had to tackle him, or we tackled his girlfriend. Him and his girlfriend got in an argument. She was about to throw a full gallon of gasoline onto the bonfire. Oh, right? Like, we would have been messed up. That would have been huge. And she was tackled, I kid you not, about 10 feet from the bonfire. She got tackled. And shortly thereafter that incident, the cops came, but they still just sent us all. I mean, we were drunk as skunks. And they were like, go home, go home, go home. Just go. Yeah, they didn't do one single arrest at any one of these 3 parties. And I mean, I kid you not, that's just insane.
Isn't that crazy that they arrested us all?
Yes. Like, that feels like the scene out of, did you ever see Harlem Nights by chance with Eddie Murphy? Like when they arrested the whole bar, I'm like, come on, even they wouldn't have done that.
Right. So that's was really weird. So that was less about doing something crazy, but the response.
No, but but that was, you're in a crazy experience for sure.
Yeah, it was because I was really scared to call my dad, but he handled it.
Oh, hell yeah. Nobody wants to call their parents on that one. I remember having to call my dad one time at 2:30 in the morning. And I'd already gone through the arrest, and I was trying to get him to pick me up about an hour away. And he's like, do you have cigarettes? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, can you stay there tonight? And I'm like, well, I guess I could. And he's like, if you're still there at noon, call me. I'm like, okay, right. Bye, Dad. So yeah, that's another story altogether.
Yeah, right.
So who's here's a double one too. So colleagues, right? Who would you say is maybe one that you respect the most, maybe even call a mentor that gave you a really good piece of advice?
A mentor.
It doesn't have to be a mentor. If you just have someone you really respect, in the industry that gives you great, or that has a great piece of advice, then it's whatever feels comfortable.
Yeah. I don't know if it's someone in the industry though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Is that okay?
Oh yeah. It's whatever. Look, this is your time,
Yeah. No. I'm gonna go back to mom.
Mom.
And it's one of these things about, sort of along the lines of not sweating the small stuff. I remember her
Right.
saying, don't see everything. You don't have to see everything.
Learn to be blind.
Learn to sort of turn it off when you need
Right.
to. Turn off the senses. Turn off
focus. Just let the peripherals go away and just focus on what's ahead of you.
Focus on what's in front of you. Yeah. So don't see everything.
No, I like that. That's good. What's your favorite podcast?
Oh my goodness.
Mine, right? I'm teasing.
No, I love Brene Brown. Yeah, yours is amazing.
It's the best ever. Stop.
I love Brene Brown.
Nice.
Yeah, and I like listening to. I've listened to a few of them, but I need to. My favorite, Murder. Yeah, that one's pretty good. But I haven't listened to that in a while. And I find really with podcasts, I end up falling asleep. This is the thing, is I need it whenever I have any downtime and I'm just sitting and chilling, like I'll just pass out. That's just a thing that happens to me, whether it's movies and podcasts. This is all sort of my life, from the morning till night. Is every minute is pretty much jam packed. And then finally, if I sit down and want to chill and sort of take in information like that, I'll pass out. So
well, I'm ADHD. So
you are?
if I stop, if I stop and watch a movie or listen to something like that, the same thing happens, because I'm actually slowing my brain down to where it can actually, because I'm focused, if I'm doing that, then I'm focused on one person talking or one actor talking, whatever the case may be, right? My normal life is, even while I'm sitting here asking you these questions, up here, I'm doing 15, I'm literally constantly, it's just who I am. And that keeps me going. And the moment that I stop doing that, I do start to fall asleep, because it uses a lot of energy, but it also, how do I say, I've learned to manage my ADHD by, if it makes sense, rather than feeding it medicine and trying to focus myself down, which I got tired of doing, I just give myself more. I don't always get everything done, but I get most of it done, and I'm not procrastinating. I'm just,
doing other stuff too.
Doing other stuff. Exactly.
But I will tell you a good show though, Better Call Saul. Have you heard about that one?
I have heard. I never watched it, because my only thing was I wasn't really into the Breaking Bad thing, because I wasn't into crystal meth. But I was told that this is a whole different program altogether, because it's him being an attorney before he even meets those dudes.
So it's a really cool, perspective. There's just a bunch of legals. For us lawyers, it's a pretty funny.
Well, the fact that it's about a lawyer, right? I'm telling you right now, I'm honestly upset at myself for not doing it, because I wanted to see if HBO did it justice. But I really want to watch Perry Mason. I'm not going to lie. I want to watch the new Perry Mason. I want to see
I haven't seen that.
Yeah, they reissued. They came out with a whole new HBO Max, right, with their programming. So I think they've finished season 1 now. So I think they're about to start season 2. I know they got a season 2. So obviously season 1 did well enough. And we're talking about HBO. You've got to
check it out.
Yeah. And I'll tell you another one. I don't know if you're old enough, and I mean that politely, but there was a movie that came out in the late 80s called From Your Hip. Have you ever heard of From Your Hip?
No.
Or From the Hip. From the Hip. Sorry, From the Hip.
Okay.
So it is 1980s. No, sorry, 80s. It is 80s. I think it's 87. And it has, I was trying to look it up real quick. So the Judd Nelson is the one. He plays.
I know Judd Nelson.
Oh yeah, and well, I know you know some of these other ones. John Hurt, Elizabeth Perkins.
Of course.
Right. Yep. It also has a lot of other great older actors, because this is 1987. So all the partners of the firm are played by folks in their 60s, right? But again,
I watch this.
From the Hip. Last time I saw it was on. I'm looking. It is on Prime, so you can watch it for free if you have Amazon Prime.
Okay.
You will absolutely love this. This is two movies in one.
Okay.
It's 2 movies in one, and you'll hear it's criminal defense. This is why I love Perry Mason, right?
Yeah.
So the beginning of the movie, he is a fledgling lawyer at a huge law firm that's never got a case. I'm not going to tell you how he gets his first case. That's honestly quite intriguing and very funny. But he gets his first case and he makes a mockery of it. And the way he does it is absolutely hysterical. But this mockery that he ends up getting gets huge amount of attention. So his very next case, his next litigation case, his next case ever in life is a murder case, a huge, huge profile murder case. And the murderer wants nobody but him because of what he did in that one case.
Oh my God.
Tell me that isn't a great setup, right?
That is
and
a good
the
setup.
murderer is played by John. The murderer is played by John Hurt. So you know that's like the accused murderer, if you will.
Yeah.
Right. The accused murderer, and Judd Nelson is the lawyer. Elizabeth Perkins is his girlfriend.
Oh, dude, I gotta watch this.
David Allen Greer is in it. It's one of his early. Yeah, like it's
okay.
Really
How did I miss this? Maybe I was just too young.
87. You know,
I was a little young.
It's also when movies didn't get like. It wasn't the same without the internet. I'll tell you that. A shit movie today can get a lot of attention, or one that doesn't have the appropriate marketing can all of a sudden take off. Like this one just didn't have the appropriate market. It's really funny. It's really good. And I kid you not, you can almost feel it when the movie goes from one tone to a completely different. It's like you're watching two different films.
That's cool. That's cool.
I always like it when they do that. So
hey, that's cool. I'll have to check that out.
So here's last two. I'll just wrap it up in one question. What's your favorite conference as an attorney? And then your favorite tools, and that can be software or an actual tool that you use, you know, in the sense of in the courtroom maybe, or in.
All right. We'll start with software. We'll start with software just because this is, I'm going to profess something here. I am a Luddite. I'm a total Luddite. I'm terrible with technology. It's not organic for me for some reason. I mean, I'm the person, like, you know, my husband will tell me that something's always wrong with my computer. Like there's always a click. I've got some weird biorhythms that just screw things up. No, I'm not. This isn't even a joke. This is the real
I get it. You and computers, and technology
we do not mix. And this is my job in the firm now, is to initiate this new software. Yes, they gave me this job. They, meaning me and my husband, decided that I'm going to do the CRM software, the client management. So
oh my God, I know exactly. Yes, I know what a CRM.
I'm in the process right now of onboarding this new technology, Lawmatics.
Lawmatics, I'm familiar with them. Yep.
Okay, so I'm just going to go with Lawmatics just because it is like, it's the thing I'm dealing with right now, and I certainly hope it is, ends up to be a success story.
Well, they've been decent. I mean, if it matters, most of the feedback that I get, because it really is y'all's client. It's client relations management is what you're using it for, right?
Correct.
So it's, I use Pipedrive, but I don't cater. What I like about Lawmatics is they actually cater to lawyers, and they have a lot of stuff built in there for your practice areas, depending on what your practice area is. And they only are continuing to add more and more tools, more forms, more things that make your life easier, right? And I don't know for sure, but I think they also give you the ability to customize your Pipedrive based on the way you handle your cases. So you can.
Yes, there's a whole pipeline thing. Yeah. Yes. I've got two different. Yeah. I'm just using them on the front end, and maybe it will, ultimately, maybe they'll be prolific for us in other areas. Currently, I just use them for the onset, on the front of the house stuff, like getting the client in the door, a consultation, a retainer sent out.
But it still makes it does make that a whole lot easier too. And there's a lot that you can, and you may end up expanding with it later.
Right.
Once you get very comfortable with this part, I'm telling you, it's got so much more to it.
That's what I understand. Yeah, we can't get to all of it during our onboarding, but
but you're paying for it, so you might as well learn how to use it.
So well, that's the thing too, right? And there's this, for a smaller firm, and some of this stuff, it makes sense maybe for a big firm, but I'm like, well, I have to do some work, right? I got to build my clients too. So part of it is, where does it, how to use it, but not abuse it, I guess.
No, exactly. But I will say this again, just in concerns to SaaS, it is a good piece of SaaS because it's not restrictive to doing it their way. You can customize almost any portion of it, I believe, where you can make it fit your model. So if it doesn't fit right away, with a couple of clicks and a little bit of this and that, it should. Exactly.
Yeah. So I'll say that. And then as far as conferences are concerned, I would say really, I love being a part of the Chicago Bar Association and all of the like committee meetings and things that they do. Just on your lunch hour. They're fantastic. And all the women groups, you know, so
you folks have like one of the top 5 cities. So, I mean, you have big numbers, and I mean that, I'm not trying to say it in a foolish way, but whenever you have those kind of numbers in that kind of city, that gives it diversity and that gives it power for any group that forms, right?
Yes.
So that you're not just 1 or 2 people sitting there sharing, but you're a group of people that can share and help each other grow. You know?
Yeah, I love the diversity of that, and I love the ability to, I mean, we've got something going on every single day at the Chicago Bar Association. So I can just, you know, I can close off this call, look up on the website, see what kind of talk they're having at, you know, noon for the lunch hour and pop in on that. I mean, so I really just sort of like the group of, you know, being a part of the Chicago Bar and the people in the city really keeping us all sort of tied together. Yeah.
And are you, just by chance, just a side note, since you said that, are there any groups in that arena, if you will, or similar to it that you hold position in or hold any office for that you kind of lead or do anything for?
Not at this time. No.
Not at this time. I heard it.
Not at this time.
The future is always bright. Put some shades on. Put some shades on, Antonia.
That's right. I wear shades.
Hey, totally. I really appreciate it. Don't hang up after I close that. I'm going to shoot you over the link to this so you can have it. But I will close the show with saying thank you so much for being with us, and thank everyone.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you. And hopefully, by the way, what would be cool, because we have the opportunity here, is to obviously have your husband on at some point. Would be awesome to hear the other half of the firm.
I bet. Yeah.
And to have you folks, you know, what would really be cool is after I have him, maybe a year from then, have both of you on, and we'll do like a double thing on see how y'all are in a year from now.
Sounds great.
Awesome.
Happy to.
Thank you, everyone, for listening to this episode. And we will be back next week with a brand new episode and a brand new attorney and a brand new city and a brand new practice area with a bunch of brand new problems and a bunch of brand new trophies or rewards. So all kinds of new stuff. Anyway, have a great day. Thanks so much.
Thanks for listening to 15 Minutes. Be sure to subscribe, and we'll see you next time.